Well, I think the exhibit does an incredible job of showing the diversity and depth of Mr. Scorsese's career and his lifelong love of cinema and music. And I think the themes that have been created around the work do a really good job of leading visitors through the exhibit and kind of focusing them, because there's such an enormous amount of material that's fascinating. So what I would say is underneath those themes, I would encourage visitors to look at the materials in terms of what they tell you about the process of making a movie. He's a very meticulous and thorough filmmaker, and you can see that reflected in his storyboards, obviously, which are very elaborate and meticulous in many cases, but also notes on scripts and research that he uses, music that he includes in the films. And so I would encourage visitors to look in that way in terms of process, because he's a filmmaker that has such a diversity in terms of what kinds of films he makes. So you see something represented that's a very intimate portrait of his parents with Italian American, which is an early movie that he made in the 70s, where it's just a single camera and he's just talking to his parents, and they're revealing a history of New York that's now long gone. And then as you walk through, you'll see very elaborate and detailed storyboards for the edit sequence for Raging Bull, where he imagined frame by frame what would happen in a sequence that maybe takes a few seconds, but for which he's really detailed each moment that he wants to see on the screen. So for me, that's the pleasure of this exhibit, is that you can walk through and see themes play out. And then as you look more closely at the material, you begin to see his process of making a movie. When he's working on a movie, you know, it's really a quest to say something true and honest about the human condition. And at the same time, he's also challenges himself to always use the language of film in a new and surprising way. So he's always challenging himself, but he's always trying to keep it within a sense of truth about the human condition. You know, I think he would be really delighted if people you know, came across some little detail of any one of these objects here, and it led to something inside of them getting inspired. So I'm not sure there's any one thing, but I think it would please him to know that either young filmmakers or young artists or just people who love movies came in and got inspired by seeing the result of not just his own creativity, but I'm looking at costume designs by Sandy Powell and production designs by Dante Ferretti. There's so many really fine artists at work in his films that I think he would just be pleased if someone felt inspired by seeing all this beautiful work.